Good evening, welcome to the latest video from Last Bell Boxing. Tonight we're joined by Andy, regular presenter. Andy, how you doing?
Yeah, really good, mate. Thank you.
And more importantly, legend Carl Greaves. How you going, Carl?
I'm a legend in my own house, that's about it.
Don't underplay it, Carl. Don't underplay it. So, cheers for joining us, mate. We won't keep you that long, but we just thought we'd have a catch-up because first time you joined us was the first week of this show.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
you was the first one on. You don't get a prize or anything, but you're the first one on.
How long ago was that?
Roughly a year ago.
Oh, well done, well done.
So,
keep it going.
Yeah, we'll keep trying, mate. So let's jump straight into it, Carl. Obviously, Dex Spellman's been announced as fighting David Jameson up in Scotland, going into the Lions Den for the IBO Continental Cruiser. Give us your thoughts on that fight. I love Deck as a fighter. He's toe-to-toe warrior, isn't it? But going up there for you, upset, Carl?
Yeah, well, obviously, it was one of them where he messaged me the other night, actually, a couple of weeks ago. But about a week ago, Declan goes, what's the plans now? What do you want to do? I'd actually got him a chance to go in the Cruiserweight Boxer Tournament live on Sky Sports. He was in the act for that, which I was pretty confident I would have got him in it. But I was out walking the dog a few days ago, and it just come to my head about when I saw this show announced in Glasgow. Obviously, Annie Rankin's world title fight live on Fight Zone, and I saw David Jameson was announced to fight on it. I just gave Jameson's manager a ring, Sam Kinnock, and just said, "Is he matched?" He goes, "No, we're looking for an opponent." And I says, "What do you think to Dex Spellman?" He goes, "Yeah, that could work." He said, "Let me put it to Dennis, the promoter, Dennis Hobson, and I'll get back to you." So he got back to me. He said, "Yeah, we'd like that fight." Told me the deal. I said, "I'd like a little bit more than that, if possible." Rang Deck. And I said, "Look, you've got a couple of options here. I can either put you in the tournament. I think the date's been changed now, actually. I think it's May the 14th. I says, or there's an option here to fight David Jameson for the IBO Continental up in Glasgow, Scotland." So anyway, so let me have a think about it. I'll speak to my trainer. He's training with Al Oster. And he messaged me back the next day and said, "I'd like to take the Jameson fight." So I went back to him and said, "Yeah, we've got a fight." You know what I mean? They upped the deal. And yeah, it's a good fight as well. I know Jameson or Jameson, I don't know how to pronounce his name, because he boxed Dan Cooper, who I manage, in the Cruiserweight Ultimate Boxer Tournament a few years back now, 3 years back, I think. And it was a very close fight, could have gone either way. So I know a bit about him. He is a good fighter. He's 17-1. And obviously, it's a bit of a step up for Dex because he's fighting a proper cruiserweight. You know what I mean? This would be Dex' big chance at cruiserweight. I mean, he's only just moved up himself, light heavyweight all his career. So, yeah, we're going to go up there and hopefully pull off the upset. Like you say, he's definitely winnable. He's a good fighter that he can bang. Hopefully, he took his power up with him, and we'll see. But got a great chance. It's a very, very good fight. Another good fight for Fight Zone, to be honest, because I think they're putting some good fights together now.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing a lot with Fight Zone, aren't you? I mean, just touching on that card in Newark, that was an absolute... I don't know who the matchmaker was, Carl, but he needs to take a bow because that was an absolute barnstormer from first fight to the end. I don't mind admitting it. It was a quality night's boxing.
Yeah, it's funny, Ray, because you put shows together and you match them and you think, oh, I'm not very pleased with this show. You don't look that good, but they're the ones that usually turn out quite good fights, you know what I mean? And it was all competitive. Could have been a few upsets. Could have gone either way, a few of the fights. Could have had some draws, and there were knockouts, knockdowns, and like you said, a few close fights. And it turned out a very good night. What was it, 9 fights? Great crowd, and the biggest ever professional boxing show in Newark. So yeah, it was great to put that on, especially in my hometown.
Yeah, you got a nice little bit of a write-up in the Newark Advertiser, didn't you? Explaining it was the biggest show in your town. So well done for that fella. 1,200, I think, was here, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was 1,200 people in there. Yeah, I mean, it was a venue that would probably looked about getting 1,500 in there, but it was I'd have struggled to get 15, especially with the setup they had all on tables. And I thought, it's my first time I promoted there. I mean, when you put in rows and rows of seats, they've got to get them all tie wrapped together, obviously border control rule, and I thought, let's just try it all on tables, and just gives me a chance to just sort of, probably tweak a few things next time if I go there. Well, I will be going there again. I'll probably do it a little bit different because it was time. Probably not put so many tables round, but this was a great night, fantastic atmosphere. I thought Fight Zone did a great job. The production was brilliant. And like you said, to cap it all off, they were good fights.
From ringside, mate, the atmosphere was outstanding. I think it worked really well.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, I've had a few moan about the bar. I mean, the bar wasn't really cut out for so many people. I don't think they expected it to be so busy. But listen, like you said, my first time I promoted there, I can tweak a few things, and obviously, especially the bar situation, we'll make sure next time it's got a lot bigger bar and probably a couple of bars. You know what I mean? We'll probably have a marquee outside or something. I don't know, but it won't cut out for the amount of people there, and a lot were moaning that they were queuing for an hour and that. But listen, other than that, I mean, listen, I say to people, you're not there to get pissed, you're there to watch the boxing, you know what I mean? So even though it's a good night out, you've got to really be there to enjoy and watch the boxing. So, yeah, but next time I'll make sure the bar's a lot better.
And to be honest, Carl, we was at the Lee Wood fight the other week, and Andy was still at the bar most of the night, to be honest with you. So, even in these big venues, you can't account for what the bar's like, can you, to be honest?
No, you can't. I mean, it's just one of them things, isn't it? I mean, the bar, they're so busy, these boxing shows. Well, all sporting events, you know what I mean? I mean, even you go to football in half time, you think, I'm going to get myself a quick coffee or a quick pint, whatever you want. And you're queuing for ages, you know what I mean? And you're missing like 15 minutes of the second half. So it's just one of them, isn't it? You have to decide what you want to do. Do you want to go and sit and watch the whole show, or get up and get a drink and miss half of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Andy, do you want to ask your question about Otis?
Yeah. Wow. What a debut.
Yeah.
He's real. I understand as well, Otis has been put straight in the limelight. He's been chucked into this lightweight tournament in Coventry, hasn't he, for boxer?
Yeah, well, obviously, I'm involved heavily with Sky as well. I'm the matchmaker. This is why I'm here now in the hotel. Obviously, I've outmatched the Newcastle show that's going to be on Sky tomorrow night. So, me and John Wishu, John's got a good relationship. We work together on the matching, and obviously heard about the lightweight tournament, and I was thinking, lightweight tournament, what lightweights have I got? I offered Sonny Price a chance, but he's got something on. He said he's busy and that he can't commit to it with work and what have you. And then it just come to me head about Otis. I thought, you know what? He'd be perfect for that. He only had one fight, he's the least experienced in the competition.
Yeah.
I tell you what, he's a bit of a dark horse. You know what I mean? He could win that. I'm telling you, he could win that. I mean, I don't actually train Otis. I did his corner that night. His trainer is actually Nathan McIntosh, a former fighter of mine, a very good fighter himself. But Nathan hasn't got his trainer's license yet. He's applied for it. He's just waiting for the paperwork to come through and have the interview, and go on the course. But as it stands at the moment, he can't do the corner. So obviously, me and Adam Kettleborough did Otis's corner that night. And I'll be truthful, I've seen him do a little bit of sparring, I've seen bits of him, and I signed him up. But I didn't expect to see how good he was, actually, how good he is. And he is a good fighter. I mean, he's got that Thomas Hearns sort of look about him, tall, lean, don't look much, but them sort of kids are the ones who've got the power at the end of them shots, you know what I mean? Them warrior arms. But he's big for the weight as well. And I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. I'm telling you, if he goes and wins that, he'll get a deal with Sky. He'll get an absolute bundle load of money. His name will be out there. It's a win-win for him. And I'm really excited about it. So, yeah, so we'll see.
A dangerous fighter. Sorry, Andy. A dangerous fighter, Carl, isn't it, when they've got nothing to lose?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know Paul Scarf's no world beater. I mean, he's only won 1 or 2 and lost most of his fights on the road. He's just on the road, that kid. But Josh Whale, who looks after him, another former fighter of mine who was a very good fighter himself, I think he was very surprised how good Otis was, you know what I mean? Because he had a look at Otis, he said, yeah, we'll take that fight. He must have seen a few of his unlicensed clips and that. And he said to me after, he said, I tell you what, nobody does that to Paul Scarf. He said, he's only ever been stopped once, and not in that fashion. He said, you've got a good lad there. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, obviously, he's entering a tournament that's got quite a few decent kids in it. But I do fancy his chances. There's a couple in there that's going to be tough jobs, but the rest of them, I really fancy it.
And I tell you what as well, they'll look at his record, won't they? Look at Otis's record, and they'll probably try and take him lightly. They'll think it's easy.
I mean, he's only had one as a pro, and I don't think he did. I don't know if he boxed amateur or not. I can't remember if he did, you know. But I know he had a load of unlicensed fights for John Ashton, and I remember John telling me, you want to keep an eye on this kid. He's a good lad. And John was my manager. He knows his boxing, and he can really punch. You know, I think he knocked most of them out in the unlicensed scene. I mean, the levels aren't as good as the pros, but obviously he proves he's got power. And he believes in himself. He's a confident kid as well.
Yeah.
You know what impressed me the most, Carl, was for a fighter that was making his debut, you'd think he'd be really nervous and perhaps be overshooting or rushing his work. It was none of that.
No.
He was taking his time. He was really accurate. He's got a fantastic future, and I think you might be right. You know.
Yeah, we come away very impressed, didn't we, Andy? Yeah. Very impressed. We thought he was top draw. So, Carl, we won't keep you too long this evening, but finally, David Ava, we can't let you go without talking about David. Obviously, blew away his last opponent. I know you've been quite vocal on social media about certain people ducking him. Now, there's been a few whispers that there might be a big announcement in the offering. Obviously, we don't expect you to tell us anything like that, but surely next one's got to be a big one, Carl, hasn't it? You know, surely it's got to be picking. I'll throw a name out there, Keith Thurman for me.
Yeah, well, he's number 3 with the WBC. David's number 2. We all know that Virgil Ortiz got ordered to fight David in a final eliminator. He decided to take another route and fight McKinson, which didn't happen because he come down with a virus, an illness, whatever it was. So we're waiting on the WBC to announce. The tweet that Neil put out wasn't actually an opponent, to be honest. It was an opportunity on a massive show, which I'm not going to go into detail. Unfortunately, it isn't going to come off now. It would have been massive, but unfortunately, it's not coming off now. So we're just going to sit tight, see what offers come up, and obviously see if the WBC do the right thing and order someone to fight David. But it's very, very frustrating, to be fair. I mean, people's criticising Metz, the opponent, and yeah, he probably wasn't at David's level, he proved he wasn't at David's level, but it was 15-0. They were ranked by the EBU. He was the only one willing to take the fight at the time for the European title. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what do they want David to do? Do they just want to sit on the fence, wait for an opportunity, let him get old, let him get ring rusty? That can't happen. He's got to have activity. You know what I mean? He needs activity. So we took what was offered, and David blew him away. The kid come out, he had a go, and he was out his depth. You know what I mean? The same happened to Liam Taylor, who was a very good fighter. The same happened to Del Rio, who had a very good record. The same happened to Josh Kelly, who was the next big thing. The same happened to Kerman Laraga, or however you spell it. It was 27-0 at the time. You know what I mean? So it's all right criticising Metz, but we'll have to criticise all the others then. But they're never at the time because there was all favourites to beat David. Well, 3 of them was. You know what I mean? So this is a frustrating thing. That Twitter and all that, everybody's got a voice and they all give it the big one. Yeah. They don't know the ins and outs and what goes into trying to make these big fights. It's not easy. You can't just click your fingers, put David in with him, put David in with him. There's obstacles to pass. There's governing bodies to please. There's mandatories in the way. You've got to get yourself in positions. You know what I mean? And it was all right, Eddie Hearn criticising the opponent, but he won't put Conor Ben nowhere near David. So don't criticise the opponent. You know what I mean? If you've got any balls about it, you put Conor in with David, then we won't have the public slagging the opponents. The reason we're having to fight these opponents is because nobody will. And no one's got the balls to put them in with David. You know what I mean? At least Metz had the balls and the bollocks to get in the ring with David. You know what I mean? Not give it the big licks and they're going to do this and that and avoid him and avoid that. You don't work like that. You know what I mean? It's frustrating.
Yeah, we've had a couple of your lads on, Carl, Stanley Stannard, who mentioned when he sparred with David, and I've got to be honest, it sounds like a horror story. It sounds like the thing that lad can do in sparring. I won't want to have the hook and jab pads on. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, he wears me out. But the thing is with David, you have to have 2 or 3 sparring points to get the rounds out because he's one of them. You'll have a good. You do all right for 2 or 3. You know what I mean? Like they all do, but he wears you down, David. He's so accurate and such a good body puncher, and he wears you down and he starts hurting you, and that's when you think, right, time to swap over now and get someone in. You know what I mean? And that's how we do it. I mean, obviously, the level of opposition when we do have the big fight for the world title, if we get there, or what we will do eventually, surely, can't be avoided forever. Then we'll have to probably get harder sparring in. You know what I mean? But at the moment, we're managing to do what we're doing. I mean, he has good rounds with Echo Esserman, a Nottingham lad, British champion. Got a lot of respect for Echo. They do some great rounds, and he gets the rounds out with Echo. You know what I mean? It's good sparring for him and that. I mean, it's good, very good.
Carl, that's great experience for your lads in your stable, though, isn't it? Even if they are only in for a couple of rounds each.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done it for the last couple of camps, to be honest with you, because it's just the timings and that's not worked out with the training, and I've already had David's sparring planned out. But yeah, it's great. I mean, obviously, I've got some good up and coming kids. You know what I mean? I've got Kyle Haywood, Midland Area champion, 9-1. I've got Stannard 7-0. I've got Tom Carlin 7-0. You know what I mean? I've got sort of James Richardson. I don't train him, but he's a very good prospect. I've got some very good fighters, Callum Blockley. I mean, all around David's way. It's great. You know what I mean? It's. I mean, the list is endless. Really, I've got a very good, strong stable.
Yep.
It's just really bright, isn't it, for your guys? What
Very bright, yeah.
What I have noticed is you've got a few lads around the same weight. That must make for great sparring, and they must be pushing each other because obviously they're looking at each other. You know, you're my weight. I need to be keeping above you. It must be.
I mean, it's funny really because I mean I've got Kyle Haywood, Midland Area champion, and I've got 3 fighters that want to fight for the Midland title, but unfortunately Kyle's got it at the moment. So I mean, obviously you got. I mean, Carlin's probably he could probably met light middle, the old light middle. It's super welter in it, but you know what I mean, he's in between really, middle and that. But yeah, you've got 3 or 4 kids there that all want to fight for Kyle's title. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna have to manoeuvre him in different directions really. And obviously push Kyle on for the English, and hopefully the Midlands will become vacant and then get one of them in it. But yeah, I'm putting a massive show on at the Morningside Arena, 28th of May. It's going to showcase all them fighters. Hopefully, have Kyle defending his Midland Area title on that show. But yeah, I've paid the venue today, and it's all done. So we'll get the bill together soon.
Not wanting you to give too much away about the way you go about matchmaking. You just talked there about the possibility of Kyle chasing the English super welterweight title. That's held by Sam Giley, isn't it, at the minute?
It is, yeah. He actually beat one of my fighters, yeah.
Very shortly, I believe.
Yeah, he's fighting Drew Brown. Yeah, I mean, Kyle wants to fight for that title, obviously, but I mean, we'll get him a defence of his Midlands. And obviously, if he wins that, I'll try and get him manager for the English, and then he'll free the Midlands up, and probably have to stand hard box for it. So we'll see. But yeah, it's all exciting times. You know what I mean? Back when they had like the Masters out a few years back, the British Masters and the Challenge Belts and that, it was good stepping stones, and it wasn't so much the title. I mean, the title didn't mean a lot, but it was championship boxing, and you could advertise your show as championship boxing, and it was championship rounds, and you gave the kids a belt at the end of the night. You know what I mean? End of the fight. But at the minute, there's none of them around now, and so obviously you've only got like the Midlands, then you got the English. Well, not the Midlands, an area title. Then you got the English. And then you're obviously looking at the Commonwealth, the British, the European, and it's tough, you know what I mean? It's tough to get them guys. They're all proper titles.
They're big step-ups, them, aren't they?
Yeah, of course it is, yeah. I mean, 4 and 6 rounds is a big gap to 10 frees, you know what I mean? I did it myself. I mean, I actually went from a 2-minute round, never done a 3-minute round, to an area title 10 frees on the 12th fight, you know what I mean? And I got robbed blind, to be fair. I thought I won the fight. I lost it by half a point, the old half a point, and which is a round. And but what I did from that fight is I took so much confidence, knowing I could go 10 rounds at a decent pace, and then I never got beat after that for 3 years. So, like I say, the championship rounds is very, very good for your confidence and important, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, Carl, it's unlikely we're going to have you back on before Tyson Fury and AJ fight. So, how about a prediction out of you? Because I don't think you connected with either fight, so I think you're okay giving us a prediction if that's okay. So,
yeah, well, obviously, yeah. Sorry, carry on. Yeah. So,
Fury versus Dillian Whyte. How do you think that one plays out?
Listen, you can't. You're going to have to favour Tyson Fury because he's a fantastic boxer, great skills. He's tall, he's long, got a good long reach and jab. But you know what I mean? Dillian Whyte can punch. He's strong. He's tough, and he's going to give Fury a few problems, in my opinion, style-wise. You know what I mean? But you'd have to favour for Tyson to beat him widely on points. It just depends what Dillian Whyte turns up, in my opinion.
Yeah. And then obviously AJ Usyk. What's your thoughts on that one? Difficult one.
Well, AJ's. I mean, last time, Usyk beat him clearly, didn't he? He fought the complete wrong fight. AJ did. Tried to outbox a boxer, and it just didn't work for him. I think he's completely changed his team around. He's going to be changing his game plan, and he's going to have to. And he's going to have to use his physical advantages this time, and his strength, his power, and try and bully Usyk and not stand off him and try and have a boxing match, because Usyk's such a good boxer. You know what I mean? An unbelievable talent, skill-wise, and he's a smaller man. So, I mean, you're going to have to say that Usyk will believe he's got his number. And in my opinion, AJ is going to have to make considerable improvements to get the victory, which he did against Ruiz, didn't he? I mean, Ruiz, he fought the wrong fight again and went away and changed his game plan and come back, and he beat Ruiz convincingly the second time. He might be thinking that this time, you know what I mean? Does he really want the fight? I don't know, but it's probably the only fight out there for him. If he can't beat Usyk, then he ain't going to get the fight with Fury. But listen, all said and done, we all want to see AJ and Fury, don't we? That's the fight we all want to see.
We do.
You know what I mean? Yeah. That is the fight. That's the best fight out there, regardless what anybody else says. That is the fight we want to see. So let's hope that AJ wins. Let's hope Fury wins, and let's hope they finally get it on, because we all want to see it.
Yeah. Well, on that note, Carl, thank you very much for your time, fella. Enjoy your time in Newcastle. Me and Andy will be watching tomorrow. And thanks a lot.
Top man. Thanks for having me on, lad. You take care. Cheers.
Take care. Cheers, Carl.
See you later, boy. Cheers.